Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Douglas Johnson. I'm a yoga teacher at the advanced 500-hour level. I am a ordained minister, kirtan artist, and musician. And today I wanted to do a third part about what films can teach us about spiritual reality. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and if you get something from this, comment and share. I do want to thank my patrons on Patreon. They are the community that make these talks possible without a paywall. If you'd like to join that community, check out the links below. You can help for as little as $1 a month. Okay, so the final bit of teaching I want to share that comes from relating with films is the actors in the film. So when we see Robert De Niro up on the screen playing a villain, do you actually believe that Robert De Niro is a villain? No, he's playing a part. He's playing his part. It's important that he play his part, otherwise the drama could not unfold in the film, okay? And in our lives, we encounter many people that seem like others. And some of these others seem truly evil. But what I'd like to propose to you is the right relationship from a spiritual perspective is these people are just playing their part. Just like Robert De Niro, if he's playing a villain in a film, Robert De Niro isn't evil, he's playing the part of evil. Okay, again, in the last talk I talked about how a whole film is ultimately an expression of love. The film itself isn't good or bad or evil, even though it may portray those things. The film itself, someone put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making the film. Likewise, an actor is not actually evil, even though they might embody evil in the role that they're playing. And so we experience this in our lives. And we often think, well, that person is evil, that person is bad, whatever it might be. But I think a spiritually healthier way of seeing this is everyone is playing their part. Now, there are a few ways that you could think about, quote unquote, others, okay? One of them is to see others as your brothers and sisters, if you will. This is a very Course in Miracles perspective. We're all children of God, and from that perspective, children of God do not sin and do not do evil. Okay, so again, is Robert De Niro actually shooting somebody when he shoots somebody on the screen? No. And likewise, from a spiritual perspective of the Course in Miracles, when we see sin out here in the world, it ultimately isn't real. It can't be real because the Son of God doesn't sin. And that's all that there is out there. That's all other people are. They are your brothers and sisters. So if we think we see sin, then we know ultimately we're confused. Now I'm talking about ultimately. I'm talking about your spiritual relationship. If you see somebody shoot somebody in cold blood, then that person might belong in prison, okay? That doesn't mean that you need to have hatred toward them in your heart. In fact, from a spiritual perspective, it would do you a lot of good to forgive them, okay? And this is the work of deep, true spirituality. So the Course in Miracles talks a lot about forgiveness, and a lot about how to forgive is understanding that it's not really real. So again, this is where we might have a problem, like, well, but I saw him shoot somebody, it is real. Yes, you saw De Niro shoot somebody on the screen. Was it real? No, it wasn't. He was playing his part. He was acting. So again, what the Course in Miracles tells us from its high spiritual perspective is that all our brothers and sisters are innocent, ultimately. They are all children of God, no matter how evil they seem in the moment. They are just doing a great job of playing their part. And so, in a sense, they don't really need your forgiveness. They don't need you to overlook their sins. They need you to see that they never actually sinned. De Niro never actually killed the other character in the film. He was playing a part. It was all make-believe, ultimately. It doesn't mean in the film he shouldn't go to prison. Again, I'm not saying don't testify, don't put him in prison, but I am saying in your heart, you need to be clear. So this is one perspective you can take toward, quote unquote, others. Another perspective that I've heard from the yogic tradition is that everybody is actually God. So I was once told a story about Shyam Das, and he associated blue, I think, with Krishna. And so he was driving along and he saw blue lights behind him, and it was a cop, and the cop pulled him over. And according to this story anyway, Shyam Das just saw the cop, he's all dressed in blue, as a representation of the divine. He just felt like, oh, this is Krishna paying me a visit. He's into his disguise, right? And he had this pleasant exchange with the cop, and the cop let him go. Anyway, point being that there are certain people that practice in this way. They go through life and they try and see all the actors in their life as ultimately God playing the part. So behind them is ultimately God. And you could say that this is a deeper realization than the first one, that if we break it down in absolute non-duality, which of Course in Miracles in the end is a absolute non-dualist text, there's just God. It depends on what level you're operating from. You could say there are brothers and sisters and all this stuff, but in the end, God is the ultimate statement of absolute non-duality. Nothing else can exist. So that is a deeper realization, if you will. So everybody at their deepest core is just God playing a part in your life. And again, God is doing that for your pleasure, for His pleasure. And again, if we don't have the right relationship with the movie, with our life, we will be suffering. So if you're thinking that, oh, well, easy for you to say, God gave me cancer, God did this or that. Okay, go back and watch the first video in this series, because we have to understand what's really happening here, okay? And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's always easy. We have certain things that one of my teachers calls Velcro thoughts, and they suck us into identifying as the character, as the ego, as the small self. That's why spirituality is a practice, and it's an ongoing practice throughout our lives. Because if we're not careful, we will get sucked back in to identifying with the character. And we need a certain amount of distance and space in order to really enjoy what the character is going through. Now, the final way of thinking of others, I think, is even a level deeper than that. And that is, everyone is you. And this is a very deep level. This is where someone like Meister Eckhart says the eye through which God sees me is the same eye through which I see God. Where, again, if all there is God, then who else could you be? How could you be separate from what God is? This is very advanced spirituality. This is also very, very advanced manifestation, understanding that all that there actually is you. And all you see playing out is from you and because of you. And again, I don't have the time to get into the weeds about all the details of that. It's quite involved. But just know that that's another way of viewing it. Now, I don't think you have to choose one of these three ways, whichever one seems to work best for you. So if you want to see everybody as your brother and sister, your family, and they are just playing a role, playing a part, you're playing a little play, if you will, and everyone has to play their part to make the drama unfold. So you might have an evil stepmother in your play. You might have a benevolent lover in your play. You might have an indifferent brother or sister. You might have different characters in your play, and that makes it interesting. And this brings me back to one of the things that I tell my students, which is, are you having fun yet? Now again, I'm not talking about pleasure. I'm not saying, are you going on exotic vacations constantly and making tons of money and popping champagne all the time? Are you enjoying life, especially the small things? Can you sit down and really enjoy a cup of tea? Can you enjoy a conversation with a loved one? Can you enjoy a walk in a natural setting? When we're really awake and plugged in, it doesn't take much to fill our heart with joy and with love. And so this is one of the signs we might look for. I'm not saying you always need to feel that way. Dark nights are a real thing, and there is some ebb and flow. But in general, are we having fun yet? Again, are we in the right relationship with our spirituality and our life? So again, which one of these work for you? Seeing everyone as your brother, seeing everyone as ultimately God, whatever embodiment you want to see that. Everyone is Jesus, everyone is a Buddha, everyone is Krishna or Shiva. And then finally, everyone is you. Again, in manifestation, everyone is you pushed out. They're all playing their part, but they're doing that for you. They're actually an extension of your own beliefs and ideas. All right, everyone. As always, I hope this was helpful. Again, if you enjoyed this talk, go back and watch the first two in this series. If at any time I can be of service, please reach out and feel free to contact me. And again, you can help me out by becoming a patron, by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting on YouTube. Until next time, everybody, namaste, and have a beautiful day.